As we shared last week, November is National Family Caregivers Month. Approximately 40 million Americans provide unpaid care to a loved one or a relative. More than 75% of all caregivers are female. The average caregiver is 49.2 years old.
Dr. Karen Ryan is a licensed psychologist with Nystrom & Associates, and she's here to talk a little bit more about caregiving and how it impacts people. It's always great to have you on.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi. Let's start with caregiving and kind of what defines caregiving.
Yeah. The actual definition of caregiving is somebody who on a regular basis, on a daily basis, provides like the physical, emotional, kind of mental needs for a loved one. Oftentimes it's a family member or a close friend. And so the definition of caregiving is really doing that on a daily basis to help care for that person who needs that support. And I think it's also helpful to think about it sometimes as caregiving when it's not a daily basis, so you're not living with that person, but that's where sometimes caregiving doesn't fully meet that definition, but has a big impact on that person's life because they are giving care on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be somebody caring for, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody caring for a parent, but it could be grandparents caring for kids. Like, there's several different scenarios.
Absolutely. So sometimes we have older adults who are still living in their homes, but they need help with yard work. They need help with changing light bulbs. They need help when it gets really icy. Or you might have, as an older adult, have a child who's an adult who maybe is a single parent or going through a divorce, and now they're needing a lot more help with childcare. So you're doing pickups, you're there when they're sick. If you have a child who has mental health needs, you might be helping make sure that they take their meds on a daily basis, helping them get up, make appointments, or if there's substance concerns, helping that person get into treatment. What can I do to help them stay sober? So you can see there's lots of times when we as individuals have a lot of giving that we're doing, and it might not meet that full criteria, but it really does have a big impact on our lives.
So we're talking about caregivers this month, and I always wonder, because I saw it with my mom when my grandmother got sick, right? My mom was the primary caregiver, and she had other siblings that wanted to be involved too. I'm kind of curious, if it's better if one family member is the primary caregiver and others kind of support that caregiver, because you can have different ideas, right? And different family members can view situations differently. And if you're looking to eliminate stress and make it as calming and peaceful on everybody, I could just see how there might be, some issues with everyone taking on the main role.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's what we really find is that when siblings are on the same page and there's one identified who is a primary caregiver and they feel like they can do that and they tolerate that, and the other siblings are appreciative and supportive of that and get that can go really well. And at times it can be really challenging. So that might be if siblings have different beliefs about how much support the person needs, or whose responsibility it is, and how much, so some siblings or some of the children feel really guilty and feel really responsible and think if anything bad happens, I won't be able to deal with that. And another sibling might say, well, that's a sign then that things need to change. And so you can see that that can be a real challenging dynamic. And so it can be one person, or if it doesn't work that way, really talking through and figuring out who's going to do what.
And it seems like it's always that the siblings don't agree. I mean, most of the scenarios are that everyone's got a different viewpoint as to how it should all go, which is part of the reason it's such a stressful thing to be a caregiver.
Exactly. And one of the best things you can do if the siblings are willing is to get together on a monthly basis, grab coffee, grab a drink, go out to dinner, and just talk about how things are going. And that can be a really helpful way, just so everybody's on the same page. And so it's like, hey, did you know last time I went over there, here's what I noticed, and I was really worried. So it can be really helpful to make sure you're talking through and explaining why you're thinking and feeling the way you are to kind of help try to find that middle of the path.
I also was thinking, we're all living in different parts of the country and the world, right? So you may have that primary caregiver being in the same city as the person who needs the care, but another sibling, my mom's in California, I'm in Minnesota, my brother would be primary care for her, but how can I support him, right? Without uprooting my whole life and moving our family out there? How do you support a family member who was kind of taking on that role just based on where they're living?
Yeah, I think what you highlighted of validating them, saying how you appreciate them, and then being available if there's any big decisions. So you say, I don't want you to feel like this is all on you. So anytime you feel like you want me to have your back or help you make that decision, give me a call and let's do that together. And so those times when those big decisions are there, that can be really helpful. I think sending a little gift, sending a note of appreciation can go a long way, and validating that can be really helpful. And so if you just appreciate and then help make some big decisions, that can be really helpful.
For sure.
But tough as that, as nice as of an idea that is, though, there's still, and I've we've lived this in our family before. It's like the one who's closest geographically
Yes.
is the one who is doing everything.
Yes.
And I know there's some resentment that gets built there, whether it's
Yeah.
you can even help it or not. It's like, this is a really hard job.
It is a really hard job.
It's probably the hardest thing we've ever had to do,
Yeah.
and then we're doing this alone. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. And that's, I think, when it's really important for you, if you are finding yourself in that position as a caregiver, as a primary one who's responsible and gets the call, right, all the time of like, well, how do you take steps to really take care of yourself and do that self-care? And so obviously it's checking in for like, am I experiencing depression, anxiety, kind of burnout? Where's my resentment level at? And sometimes it's as simple as like, answering the phone call to that person in need and saying, I can get back to you in a half an hour. I'm in the middle of this, and then I'll get back to you. And so for me, that can really be doing boundaries, right? Where you're still that
sure.
caregiver, but
Yeah.
it might be, I'm just not going to come over right now. Or can I do that in a little bit? Or make a list for me. I'm coming over Wednesday. I come over every Wednesday and every Sunday. And so sometimes if you can build a structure in there so it's not all the unexpected calls, that can be useful as well. But it's a lot of work, and those boundaries, and then working through that guilt of saying no,
Yeah.
and finding that middle ground is a challenge.
Well, and I think about like the sandwich generation of people, right, who are maybe raising young kids of their own, or even non-driving teenagers at that point, raising kids and being pulled in a
Yeah.
direction of needing to help, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a family member,
Yeah.
whether it's a parent or a grandparent. That can be really hard and stressful too, but a lot of people are in that boat.
Yes, they are. They are, and it's wanting to be home with your kids or being at activities, but then also knowing there's a need there. It can be a really big challenge. And so one thing that can be really helpful, especially if you have kids at home, is setting aside like 10 minutes of really intentional time. And so if you can't be at everything, you're not at home, 10 minutes of really uninterrupted intentional time can really help build that connection, remind that kiddo that you love them, you're there for them, and why you had to be away.
Do the holidays bring out some more emotion when it comes to the difficulties of this?
Yeah, I think what can be really helpful when you think about if you have a loved one or a friend or a family member who is a caregiver is how challenging it can be to do simple things. And so what I mean by that is like there's a holiday party and you think that's so great, just come, it'll be great to see you. And that person's like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to care for this person, how to care for this person. It's gonna be so much more work for me to get there. So having that compassionate understanding when they say no or why they can't do certain things, that makes a lot of sense. Going to them. So if they are a caregiver 24/7 pretty much, going to them, bringing dinner, saying, can I just come and be with you? And just going to their home.
Yeah, nice.
That can be a wonderful way to do that, is going to them so then they're not having to they can continue to give that care and get some social time with you.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes
Lots
sense.
of good
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr.
My
Ryan.
pleasure.
Nystrom and Associates provides care in the fields of psychiatry, psychology, family therapy, and more.
If you're struggling with stress, anxiety, depression, or addiction, please reach out to them.